Hey again everyone, and welcome back to the channel for the next installment in our new figure showcase series. And just before jumping in, I have a lot of catching up to do, so hopefully this is just the first of many incoming reviews. But again, for those joining us for the first time, this is just a series of videos I do where we take a quick look at a new addition into my collection and just go over the figure, the accessories, do a quick review, and I just give you a few of my thoughts. So for today, this episode, we're jumping into the world of Star Wars, which, if you followed my channel, is not my forte at all, but I do collect the occasional figure. So today we're going to be looking at the DX26 by Hot Toys, which is the Obi-Wan Kenobi figure from his Disney Plus miniseries. Now, I personally love the show. Did it have cringy moments and ridiculous moments? 100%. First thought that comes to mind is the escape from the Inquisitor base. Just required a major suspension of disbelief. But for every one of those moments, you also had some amazing scenes and storylines, and in particular that final battle between Darth Vader and Obi-Wan with the soundtrack blaring in the background, it just made the show for me. And I do think this figure leans heavily into that scene, especially with the supplied diorama base. So very exciting to have an Obi-Wan in the collection, and this does mark my first Obi-Wan figure, period. So let's start by taking a look at everything we're getting here. So as is normal, you do get some hands, you do get two lightsaber hilts, with one including the USB cable as well as the associated connectors. You get the two styles of lit blades in that nice blue, and then you do get the components to create the floating rock diorama from the final battle with Vader. And a bunch of other extras including the vest jacket for a bit of an alternate look. I do think the package is deceivingly simple. Now I will say I missed out on the timed exclusive, which was available on Sideshow, and that did include a box that Obi-Wan carries in the, or I guess uncovers at the start of the show, that holds some lightsabers wrapped up. I do regret missing that that SKU, so to speak, but so be it, right? I did manage to jump on this one a little bit late, and that's what happens. So just so you know, there is another version out there that includes those extra goodies. But now, as we normally do, let's jump into the accessories for a more in-depth look, and we'll start with the hands. And actually, I will say these stand out a little bit more just because of how they're posed up. You have a lot of Force-use hands, and that interesting pre-posed hand where Obi-Wan holds the lightsaber out between his fingers from that final battle, which is pretty cool. But they're all well done here, and there's a lot of really great detail work, from the slight freckling on the skin to the veins on the back of the hand. Pretty impressive, and again, just enough to let you hold all the accessories and pose the figure up. Next up, I gathered all the lightsaber accessories in one place. So as mentioned, you get the two different handles, including the one with the light up feature with the pre-attached USB cable. The detail on these handles is stunning, with the nice silver leading to the gold and the textured grip. And then you do get a switch on the side, which looks like an old school flashlight switch, which I'm pretty sure is what it was, but there's a ton of detail there as well. So very impressive, and it is an iconic hilt that we've seen in countless movies, so it's great to see Hot Toys recreate that here. And then you do get those two blade styles with the straight extrusion and then the effect piece to show movement, which looks really good. And at the very top, you get the connectors for the USB-C plug, which, just as an FYI, you do have to provide yourself. It's not included here. But overall, you do get a nice package to really bring the lightsaber itself and that light up feature to life. Next up, you do get a blaster pistol that we see Obi-Wan use on the show. It's very nice and compact with a nice matte black grip that does have a little silver button on it. That seems a little bit more modern, right? Or more in line with our modern world. It's got a very simple scope at the top, nothing crazy, but again, some interesting detail work. And I think it's the first time we're seeing this type of blaster, but you Star Wars aficionados can correct me if I'm wrong, which I may very well be. Next up, you do get a pair of binoculars that are very sleek and also compact, with a nice matte black finish to them and a more reflective paint job on the eyepieces. And around the entire body of the binoculars, you do see some nice gray detailing for screws and controls. It's a good add, but not an accessory that I'm dying to use with this figure. And final accessories are the communicator and Leia's little droid, Lola. The communicator I feel like we've seen before, and it does include a holographic projection of Bail Organa. Hologram is that standard clear blue plastic with the grooves along the height to give you that shimmering effect. Works well, although not much detail on the person it's supposed to be. Not that I was expecting it at this scale. And the projector is actually very cool with the nice silver edge pieces. Great paint app overall, and just overall good looking for something so small. Lola comes in her folded up compressed mode, and she looks fine. Basically just a little desk with some surface detail over the lens and a slight bump in the rear portion for the antenna. Just like the binoculars though, they're great accessories to have, but not something that I'm going to end up using, just with the looks I have in mind. Now next up, I have the fully assembled diorama base. Pretty easy to put together with a clear rod assembly that holds the floating rocks in place and also holds the waist clamp. Now look, the figure does tend to stand well by itself, so if you didn't want to have the clamp on, you could easily remove it and just have the clear effect pieces. And while it's simple, right, just rocks floating, Hot Toys did a great job here. Each assembly is different enough so you have a feeling of unique elements. And the base is really good too, with that corner outcropping. From a paint app point of view, very simple, just rocks, so lots of gray in different shades, but I think it does create the floating illusion well, and it's a great look for Obi-Wan, so nice add, although far from the most intricate diorama we've gotten from Hot Toys. So now let's jump into the figure, and we'll start with the sculpt. So when Hot Toys released a pre-order for this, sculpt was definitely not universally liked. It was okay, but something was clearly off. Whether it was the rolling eye system, which created a strange kind of sunken eye look, or even the beard that just looked like it wasn't executed properly, there were a lot of issues. So we still pre-ordered, right? But Hot Toys did update the sculpt and released the final pictures right before the full release of the figure, and they did an amazing job. This to me looks like Ewan McGregor and Obi-Wan from the show. The facial hair is much more detailed and looks better around the mouth. The eyes are fantastic and you don't get that strange sunken look anymore, so great job here. And the sculpt itself is just tweaked to improve everything and the likeness. And the hair, sculpted, yes, but still amazing, and you have small strands that stick out. It just really is striking, and Hot Toys has pretty much mastered sculpted hair at this point. So great update to the sculpt, and something that I think the figure really needed. Now the rest of the figure is awesome. It's simple, although deceivingly so. There are some actual layers to his tunic, I guess we'll call it that, right, with lots of Velcro underneath. And look, the colors are not the most exciting either, right? It's a grayish brown, but the detail and tailoring is great with all the pleats around the neck and on the sleeves. And one big positive, because of the baggy arms, you can actually slip the USB cable for the lightsaber into the arms and hide it real well. Honestly, probably one of the easiest cables to hide when compared to Riva or the Grand Inquisitor. But back to the figure, belt is removable with a Velcro tag at the back, and it has some good detailing like the silver on the front, small tab on the side to hold the lightsaber hilt, and a holster for the blaster pistol with a magnetic clasp. That one does give me some slight pause because in the past, those magnetic clasps have kind of dissolved on me, and I think this belt is pleather, so longevity becomes a genuine concern. Pants are actually an almost nylon-like material, so longevity there shouldn't be a big deal. The boots are actually molded plastic, and the wraps above the lower leg are plastic as well. Would I have liked real fabric? Absolutely, but I can accept this one, and I think it looks pretty solid overall. The lightsaber, as is standard, as well as USB lit, and you do have some nice flexibility to really hide that cable like I mentioned before. You can snake it up the sleeve and then down the tunic, and if you have the adapter connected to the belt, you can actually hide this fairly well. And I have to be honest, it looks pretty nice all lit up, and the lightsaber is actually a bit brighter than I had expected. Hand swapping on this one is very simple and doesn't feel like you're at risk of breaking pegs, although watch, now I'll go back and I'll probably have a peg break. But posability on this one is fantastic. Clothes aren't restrictive, although the boots being fully molded do create a slight limitation on the ankle pivots. But the figure still stands up really well on its own and doesn't require the full waist clamp. So if you did want to use the diorama as a diorama without that unsightly clamp, as I mentioned before, it does still look great and it does serve that purpose. Because the rocks are just that, right? The rocks. So it still just comes together very nicely and does give you some great display possibilities. Even the effect blade to show the slicing motion once lit up is great and does look amazing, and might be a look I could see myself going for my final display. Look, I don't have any other Obi-Wans, so I can't tell you that one is better than the other, but this one is overall a very solid figure, and I think Hot Toys continues to kill it with the amazing sculpt work in particular, and a figure that really does stand out, and I think it's a great representation of an iconic character. Now, I did try the alternate look with the poncho and hood. This is probably the one negative I have. While it looks okay, I hate these hoods. And it's probably just me, because I see a lot of people getting these to look amazing, but whether it was this one or the Gore that I had previously gotten, I just cannot get the poncho for the hood to sit well on the head. It just doesn't drape properly or naturally. And while it's wired, it's actually one of the more frustrating elements of this figure. Now, with the hood off, it doesn't look bad, and you do get a wired bottom of the jacket, so it does let you get a bit of a dynamic feel. But I don't know if I'll use it, as it's just annoying overall. Again, that's probably just me, so take that with a grain of salt. But honest opinion, overall this is a great figure, and it's a great thing that Hot Toys updated the sculpt, because it really makes this an even better figure than it originally was. So that was just a quick look at the Obi-Wan Kenobi from the Disney Plus show. Great figure overall, and well worth the wait, at least to me. But let me know your thoughts, and we'll touch base on the next video.